Congress is back in session ahead of a busy start to the new year. Tomorrow, House Republicans will hold the first impeachment hearing for Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. If the GOP succeeds, he would be the first cabinet secretary impeached in nearly 150 years. Welcome back to America Decides. CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion is back with us now. Thank you so much, Nikole. Good to see you. So let's start with the Mayorkas impeachment hearing tomorrow. What exactly are Republicans trying to do here, and what can we expect?
Well, this has been part of a continuing drumbeat on the part of House Republicans to really draw attention to this issue of the border. Just last week, we saw Speaker Mike Johnson go down with a delegation of House Republicans to Eagle Pass, Texas, where they really tried to use that opportunity to highlight what they believe is a failure of the Biden administration to properly address what's happening at the border and to stop the flow of illegal migrants from coming into the country. So from that standpoint, that is really the impetus to a certain extent behind this first impeachment hearing that is set to start in earnest Wednesday. The chair of the House Homeland Security Committee, Mark Green, has made clear that he believes that this is a dereliction of duty on the part of Secretary Mayorkas. The committee has been investigating the secretary, as well as doing a deeper dive into the administration policies. And so it's kind of culminating with this first impeachment hearing Wednesday.
And Nikole, a lot going on the Hill. They also have to fund the government sometime soon. What's the latest about where talks are in terms of that? Any momentum?
Well, in terms of, the border talks are kind of inching along. Probably the bigger talk here on the Hill is really with respect to overall funding for the government. And just today we heard from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who is now suggesting that perhaps a temporary stopgap funding measure may be needed to try to bridge the divide until lawmakers can get their appropriations bills passed. Of course, we know that there is a government funding deadline approaching in less than 2 weeks, January 19th. And so even though congressional leaders have agreed on a top line spending figure, getting all those bills passed in time could be an uphill challenge. So that's why the leader is suggesting today perhaps a short term patch may be needed. That's something Speaker Johnson had at one point ruled out, but we don't know if he'll reopen the door to that potential proposal.
And I also wanted to ask you about news today that Senator Bob Menendez from New Jersey, who is facing an indictment on bribery charges, took to the Senate floor today. What exactly did he say? Is he planning to stay in office? And is he planning to run for re-election?
Well, he certainly did not announce his resignation when he went on the Senate floor earlier today, and he actually got quite emotional as he tried to defend some of the most recent allegations against him. Take a listen.
After 50 years of public service, this is not how I wanted to celebrate my Golden Jubilee. But I have never violated the public trust. I have been a patriot for and of my country.
And now this follows some additional allegations that were unsealed in that superseding indictment just last week, suggesting that the senator, or alleging that the senator, used his position of power here in Congress to help the government of Qatar. On the floor today, the senator denied that. He said that he will prove his innocence in court. But this was really an interesting turn of events on the part of the senator, who, when he was initially indicted, he held a press conference, but making these comments on the Senate floor and speaking directly to some of his colleagues who have called for his resignation and in some cases called for his expulsion. The senator, for now, standing his ground as far as his reelection. He said and told a small group of reporters that he has not made a decision. But when I pressed him when he might make a decision, he pointed to his last reelection campaign launch, which he said was in March of 2018. So maybe suggesting if he makes a decision, it could be coming this spring. Caitlin.
All right, we will keep an eye out for that announcement as pressure builds. Nikole Killion catching it all on Capitol Hill today with a very busy week ahead. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.